Before all things there was dark chaos, without form and void, in which the light of God did shine, and by shining gave unto it form. Today we visit the Camera Obscura in Edinburgh, high above the Royal Mile, within a darkened chamber. The city is gathered by light. A beam enters, lenses and mirrors guide it, and suddenly the world appears, not inverted, but optically corrected, its perspective preserved, contained and alive upon a table of light. The streets move in miniature, clouds drift, people cross the mile, unaware they are carried here by light alone. Yet this phenomenon is far older than this building. The earliest written description comes from Moses in the 5th century before Christ. He observed that when light passes through a small opening, it projects an inverted image. A simple principle, a profound discovery. Centuries later, Johannes Kepler named it Camera Obscura, meaning the dark chamber, and applied its logic to understanding the human eye. The world enters, an image forms in darkness. In the 17th century, the Jesuit scholar Athanasius Kircher stood at the meeting point of natural philosophy and symbol. In Ars Magna Lucis et Umbrae, the great art of light and shadow, he studied the geometry of light, the structure of the eye, and projection within darkened spaces. For Kircher, optics were never merely mechanical. They revealed something deeper. He compared the eye to a chamber in which light forms an image upon an interior surface, an enclosed space made articulate by illumination. Light, he wrote, is the most noble and most divine of corporeal things. And further, as the eye receives the visible image by light, so the intellect receives truth by the illumination of divine light. The act of sight becomes a model of understanding. Yet Kircher was not alone. Earlier in the century, the English physician and natural philosopher Robert Fludd framed the universe itself in terms of light emerging from darkness in Utriusque Cosmi Historia. Fludd begins not with stars, nor with spheres, but with darkness. In the beginning was darkness, a black square unbounded, labelled et sic in infinitum, and so into infinity. For Fludd, darkness was not absence, it was the hidden ground of all things. Light is the form of forms. Creation unfolds as illumination. What is concealed becomes manifest. Man is the lesser world. The same structure unfolds within us. The intellect remains obscure until enlightened. Where Kepler measured and Kircher explained, Fludd contemplated, and in that contemplation the dark chamber became more than a device. It became a symbol of creation itself, the visible arising from the hidden. High above the Royal Mile, that ancient pattern continues. Light enters darkness, and the image appears. Beyond philosophy and theology, the Camera Obscura found practical use. Artists recognized its value. Some scholars suggest that painters such as Johannes Vermeer may have used optical devices to achieve their striking realism. Whether confirmed or debated, optical projection reshaped how artists understood perspective. Light did not merely illuminate a subject, it structured it. Surveyors and map makers also employed the device. From towers and hilltops, horizons and coastlines could be traced faithfully before being reduced to lines on a map. By the 18th century, the Camera Obscura had become both study and spectacle. At Twickenham, Alexander Pope transformed his grotto into a darkened chamber, where the River Thames entered as what he called a moving picture in their visible radiations. With the closing of a door, an ordinary room became a theatre of apparition. Skies, boats, hills and passing figures moved across the walls, only to vanish when the chamber was opened again. The Camera Obscura did not preserve the world, it borrowed it. Its images endured only so long as darkness was maintained. But before projection entered public theatre, darkness had already been enlisted for more unsettling purposes. In the 1760s and early 1770s in Leipzig, Johann Georg Schrepfer, a former coffeehouse owner and Freemason, conducted séances in shuttered rooms. Participants entered carefully controlled darkness. Flames were managed, smoke was introduced. Witnesses described luminous figures emerging from shadow as invocations were spoken. Some believed they had seen the dead, others fainted. Whether by concealed apparatus or theatrical technique, the method was consistent. Control the room, control the light, control expectation. In 1774, Schrepfer shot himself in a forest outside Leipzig. His death deepened the legend. Only decades later, in revolutionary Paris, projection would move fully into theatre. There, Etienne Gaspard Robertson refined the effect for public spectacle. His device, the phantascope, hid its source behind screens. Audiences sat in complete darkness. Smoke thickened the air, then figures appeared. Skeletons, ghosts, historical apparitions. Mounted on rails, the projector moved forward, enlarging the image so that spirits seemed to approach the crowd. What had once gathered the visible world inside a chamber now summoned phantoms before an audience. Before grottos, seances, or theatres, light had already been declared the beginning of form. The opening lines of Genesis begin not with stars or structure, but with darkness. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Then comes the command, "Let there be light." Genesis did not describe a device, it describes emergence. Before light, nothing is defined. When light appears, the world takes shape. In Edinburgh, light gathers a city into view. In Genesis, light gathers a world into being. Across centuries, in chambers, grottos, ritual rooms, and theatres, the pattern remains. Darkness prepares the space, light gives it form, and the image appears. Thanks for watching another episode of Cucks and Crowns. I hope to see you next time. Cheers now.